my best friends married an illegal immigrant. We had this conversation at dinner, and I said to her, I am sorry that you decided to break the law. There are a lot of Americans that break laws, and they go to jail, and there's a consequence for your actions.
So nannies in the park with babies. So nannies in the park with babies.
We have a grand conversation, and you have one-sided where you say your side's the only side that's right, and my side's right. You said you'd kick me out if I had the conversation.
Hold on, Ben. So you said
your love, the fact that you broke the law.
Did you call ICE on her?
I'm not going to call ICE on someone. Let me finish. I'm going to tell you exactly why. It's a great question.
I think it's a beautiful thing. I don't want to say every immigrant person from Latin or Central America, Central South America is a murderer. Not at all.
You've taken up a lot of space here.
I just started talking a second ago. I just started talking.
Hold on. It was not a second ago, but look.
Right? Why? Why are some people who are here illegally, according to you, why should they stay here? Because Donald Trump said.
But
why would he say it in the first place? Why would he say it?
Again, I go back to a very simple issue. I'm telling you, the approval rating's up today. That's not true. It's approval rating's up 56%.
Hold on, guys.
Stop talking for a second.
Hold on a second.
You said that he's tanking.
Guys, hang on.
I come to LA. There are people.
I live in Houston. I see a ton of illegal immigrants. They're not hard to find.
They are dog.
Hello, everybody. Guys, let's get right into this segment. We got Dumbo the MAGA Pundit making a complete fool of himself. Check this out, and we'll talk about it.
Right now, it's the Dodgers versus the Padres on the field, but just hours ago, it was the Dodgers versus ICE in the parking lot. So what exactly happened? Well, the team claimed it denied entry to immigration.
Guys, really quick, I have to tell you this. I thought she was making a joke at first. I was listening to this segment when I first saw it, and I thought she was calling immigrants Dodgers. And obviously ICE, and I was like, holy crap. And then I realized, oh, all right, never mind.
Agents, it says we're trying to access the area. You can see here in this video, unmarked vehicles and what appears to be law enforcement standing outside. Now, DHS says, yes, Customs and Border Protection vehicles were there briefly, but it was not related to any operation. So it just so happens the Dodgers were set to announce plans today to help immigrant communities in LA. And just days ago, a Latin pop singer, Neza, performed the national anthem in Spanish before the Dodgers game, despite the team's objections. This has turned into one of those cases of is the Trump administration trying to send a message here? And if they are, you know, is the Dodgers right? Are they right to push back, man?
Yeah, they are. And again, I'm raising kids in Los Angeles, and I think it's really important for people to understand. There's a feeling of real terror for just everyday people in Los Angeles. I think Trump came in saying, hey, I'm going to get rid of like the gang members, the terrible people who are killing everybody and raping everybody. It turns out there's not that many immigrants who are doing that. So if you're going to do mass immigration, you got to go after nannies in the park with children, which is what's happening. And so there's really bad stuff happening to people who are working in restaurants, people who are beloved in communities. That is not what Trump ran on. And so there is a feeling, if you go to the Haitian part of LA, there's nobody on the streets. People are literally afraid, just regular people are afraid to go outside. And so I think that, you know, now you're going to go into the stadium, I think LA people are just trying to draw a line. If you want to enforce the law, start with the terrible people. Don't start with nannies. Don't start with day laborers. Don't start with people who are actually making the city work. And I think it's a bridge too far.
I want to take a step back here, and I want to know why the Dodgers are getting involved with law enforcement. If ICE is telling the truth, if DHS is telling the truth, they were just there as a staging area briefly. Why are they jumping out and saying, oh, we stopped ICE? This is what I'm worried about.
What do you see?
You know, we talk about political violence as bad. Violence against law enforcement, bad. And I agree with all of it, everything that's been said from January 6th on down. Agreed, 100%. But when it comes to ICE, they're in pushback against people harassing ICE, people going and seeking out ICE to make a viral video or to get clout. I feel like they also deserve protection. They're enforcing the law of this country, and I feel like they are become a sort of scapegoat for a policy on the books of the government that people don't like, and that's bothersome to me.
Let me, before you jump in, I just want to give you an update because we just got some breaking news that an appeals court is now allowing Trump to continue having control of the California National Guard. This is an offshoot of that situation where there were riots and confrontations with law enforcement, and Trump said, I'm going to take over the National Guard and send them in. Now they're being able to do that after some litigation over the last week and a half. But look, one of the reasons, I mean, this is a connected story. You know, you're talking about these ICE agents and DHS agents and all of these folks who are carrying out these raids. The masks have been an issue.
Why?
I'm just stating that for people, they're seeing these men showing up in their communities in hats and in black masks covering everything but their eyes. And we've had deportation raids for many a decade in this country. President Obama's administration did it to the tune of millions. And yet, we did not see that.
But here's why. Because you didn't have the left when who you work for. Barack Obama was doing this, deporting a lot of people. You didn't have the left saying, we're going to dox you and your family, and we're going to put your lives at risk, and we're going to put your addresses on the internet. We're going to go to your house and live stream, and we're going to put your kids' Instagram on social media out there saying you're a bad guy. That wasn't happening when Barack Obama was doing it, because now Donald Trump's doing it. Therefore, let's go after ICE.
You're saying all law enforcement?
This is amazing argument. You're going to keep doing this. So for one, let me just give you an advice. Trump maybe should not have called immigrants poisoning the blood of the nation. He should not have called Haitian immigrants and said that they were eating cats and dogs. Maybe for one. When you can show me that Obama did that, then maybe we'll start having some comparisons. And honestly, that's not even true. Because let's get into this for a second. ICE isn't appreciated for the most part, obviously, because for one, they're just running up to people, like students on the streets that protested on campus what's happening in Gaza, running up on people at Home Depot with clean records, also going into schools to talk to the children of immigrants to get information about their parents without authorization by the parents, lying that they did. So like, that's the thing. Police, for the most part, are appreciated by the public because they are perceived to go after actual criminals. For the most part, we all know they have their issues. Whereas ICE is perceived to just be going after hard, decent people, hardworking, decent people. People that many of us could relate to and understand the struggle and doing what you need to do to get by and survive. Many of us can relate to that. And we see ourselves in them in many ways. That's the problem.
Just because they're afraid of being doxxed, if the NYPD today has some sort of protest against it, they now have to start wearing uniforms and not any insignia on them. Look, I was at.
That's not what I'm saying at all.
Let me tell you this.
That's law enforcement. That's not what I'm saying at all. So let me finish this because, like, when you come from a law enforcement family and you see these guys, and you see these guys that come out there and they risk their lives and they're doing their job. And then you have, like, I'm sorry with the Dodgers, like, the Dodgers things makes me mad because I think they were making a point probably to sell tickets and to get fanfare behind them.
I talked to the mayor today. That's not true.
So you think that the Dodgers didn't do that thinking the PR aspect of it was, we're going to stand up to ICE, and then we're going to have more people that like us in the legal immigrant community, or those that have friends in the legal immigrant community.
You're taking up a lot of space here.
I just started talking a second ago. I just started talking.
Hold on. It was not a second ago. But look, one thing I just want to note, like, you know, when there are judges who rule against the Trump administration and conservative, policies, people dox them, they dox their family members, they call them evil and activists.
Supreme Court justices that were doxed,
right?
No
so I guess my point is that is happening to people who are not even in law enforcement. They're just people in black robes sitting on a bench.
And Democratic
but
nobody
says anything about it.
All of it's
bad. All of it's bad. But I also think, look, again, ICE has been detaining and deporting people in this country for a long time, okay? The difference is not just this moment. It is also the tactics, okay? It is the people that they are going after. They're taking women and moms at their hearing where they've been called to appear for their immigration proceedings, taking them, but they're at their hearing, they're being told to come, and then they are detaining them in the hallways. They're breaking the glass windows of cars. I'm just telling you, it's the tactics that is changing the way people are seeing
American citizens go to court all the time and get arrested arrested and taken away from their kids, and no one is acting like this is some injustice.
I don't think you understand what go ahead, I'm sorry.
But that happens every day.
No, but it's not.
Do you know how many people are in the prison
And when it
population in
does,
America?
and when it does,
How
and
many
if you've
moms and
ever known
dads?
somebody
Hold on,
that's
hold on.
happened, it's
Van,
devastating.
go ahead
it's
and-
terrible. It's not.
Then don't
it's
break the
awful.
law.
It's
Don't break the law.
traumatizing to the
Self-deport.
child.
Who's breaking the law?
The people that are here
No, I'm
illegally.
sorry.
No, you don't
No,
understand
let me
what you're
stop
talking
here.
about.
People that are here illegally are breaking
Let
the
me
law.
just finish my
Don't
thought
talk
here.
about
There are
that.
plenty of people here who are here legally,
Legal
who had
Yes.
legal status,
Yes.
who are showing up to basically to renew their legal status
Yes.
or
Follow the
to
rules.
check in as the rules dictated, and they are getting deported
That's
and they're
the
getting
problem.
arrested. That is not right. These people have the right to be here.
There are people living in hiding right now. I know them. They are in hiding that have visas that are here legally because they are afraid of the tactics of ICE. These are not fairy tales. These are not fairy tales.
See, we live in two different worlds. In the world you live in, the main thing that's happening is that ICE people are being mistreated. And I didn't even know as much about it as you told me today, so I'm learning. In the world I live in, the rule followers, the people who have legal status, who are trying to do what they're told, are also getting grabbed in ways that would
Yes.
shock you and are being deported. That's why you're having the alarm. So you're just saying, oh, somebody's breaking the law, they should get arrested. If that's what we're talking about, there's no conversation. We're talking about the rule followers
You're acting
who are
like
getting
there's
in
like
trouble.
the majority.
I love that Van Jones is talking to him like a child. Yes, I get it. You taught me something today. He talks to him so gently. He's an idiot. He has to talk to him slowly and gently. He's an over hysterical fool.
of the people being arrested. And hold on.
Go ahead.
No, it's not the majority. It's not the majority have legal status. That's not true. That is misinformation.
No, hold on a second. First of all,
or a lie, however you want to describe it.
Well, the majority of ICE people are not getting doxxed, but what I'm saying is there are people. I've come to LA. There are people.
I live
you
in
would
Houston.
look-
I see a ton of illegal immigrants. They're not hard to find.
They are dogpiling us in LA, and you have nannies who are literally out there with children, being sworn by people with masks, taken away. These people have legal status, and the children are traumatized. That's what's happening, and people are
And I'm
very
saying,
upset
is
about
that
it.
let me say this. Number one,
With
it's not,
legal-
the,
with
it's
legal
not the
status.
majority. But number two, it's this. I go back to law and order. You either have law and order or you don't.
That's my
And when
point.
you let in, and by
These
the
are
way,
the-
if you want to be mad
these
at
are the
somebody,
rule
hold on.
followers.
If you
These
want
are
to
the
be
rule
mad at somebody,
followers.
you should be mad at Joe Biden for letting in millions. Who let him in?
Ben, can I ask
Who
you-
let him
can
in?
I ask you a question? Because
No, if you're
This is amazing. I'm gonna rewind it there because I paused it at a bad moment. But again, this is just amazing. It was Biden's fault that we're mistreating them, right? So because they came in under Biden, we're allowed to treat them any way we want to. Dumbo there knows exactly what he's doing, and exactly knows the difference, and tries to act like, oh, it's Trump derangement syndrome. The real blame should be like, are you kidding me? The blame is on Biden on why you're treating them like this. This is the problem. It's the cruelty. And that's the issue, is that MAGA is okay with that. And if anything, prefer there to be cruelty than not. And let's just be real, because that cruelty is overwhelmingly targeted at primarily a skin color that they despise, they are fine with it. Even when it's not necessary. Again, the reasoning they feel so passionate about it cuts deeper than, oh, they're just illegal. We just want people to follow the law. Yeah, right. You're completely okay with all Trump's criminality, January 6th, pardoning those guys. No big issues there, right? They just can't really say what the real issue is with immigrants are. Imagine if the majority of immigrants in this country were from Sweden, Ireland, Germany. That's definitely a favorite of Republicans. Do you really think we would be seeing what we're seeing now? Come on, Papi. Who do you think you're fooling? And I'm going to rewind it a bit.
this. Number one,
With
it's not,
legal-
the,
with
it's
legal
not the
status.
majority. But number two, it's this. I go back to law and order. You either have law and order or you don't.
That's my
and
point.
when you let in, and by
These
the
are
way,
the-
if you want to be mad at
these are the
somebody,
rule
hold on.
followers.
If you
These
want
are
to
the
be
rule
mad at somebody,
followers.
you should be mad at Joe Biden for letting in millions. Who let him in?
Ben,
Who let him in?
Can I ask you a question?
No, if you're hold on, but if you're going back to trauma, then giving someone false hope that you could come to America.
These
and
people
stay
have
here,
legal status.
Then
Can I ask-
blame your own party for this.
Can I ask you a question? Because
Sure.
because President Trump just said that he doesn't want people going after undocumented immigrants on farms and in the hospitality industry, right? The very people that you say are lawbreakers, he's giving amnesty to because
He reversed
that's
it.
because
He
that's
reversed it,
he
by the way.
reversed it, but he said it, right? Why? Why? Why are some people who are here illegally, according to you, why should they stay here? Because Donald Trump
reverse
said.
it, but B, my policy
why would he say it in the
simple.
first place? Why would he say it?
Again, I go back to a very simple issue. I don't care if you're an American citizen or if you're an illegal immigrant. If you are breaking in a law in this country, you should be arrested if you are to be arrested for breaking that law. And if you came here illegally, then you should self-deport or live in worried all the time.
Why did he
That's
think?
fine
Why
with
did he
me.
think until he got pushback from his base? Why did he think some people deserved to stay here and others didn't?
I don't think you got the pushback you're describing.
But why did he reverse himself?
The majority of Americans say they're in favor
Then
of
why did he
A, a
reverse
secure
himself?
border,
But not the
and
methods.
B, then deporting
Then
people
why
that
did
are
he
here
reverse
illegally.
himself?
His numbers are tanking.
Most
They're
conservatives.
not tanking. His approval rating's up today.
Most
That's
conservatives.
not true. His
Hold on,
approval rating's
hold on,
86%.
Hold on, guys.
Stop talking for a second.
Hold on,
We only have
hold on a
seven
second.
minutes
You said that
and
he's
you've been
tanking.
talking
Guys,
minutes of it.
hang on a second, Ben, just a second. So what she's referring to is his poll numbers on immigration, which have been declining.
Yes.
And when you do ask people, this is why I brought up the issue of tactics. When you ask people about the way that Trump is going about doing this mass deportation, which is going after a broad swath of the immigrant community, not just the criminals, which everybody agrees should be deported, but all of those other people, the nannies, the construction workers, the cooks, the house cleaners. That's when you start to see more Americans saying, we don't agree with that. And we have seen that in the poll
I got to
numbers.
slightly push back on you, Abby. Harry Enton's own numbers last week said 51% of people are supportive of ICE in their communities. There was a poll today reported on by Politico, Big
Okay,
Stack, saying 50% support
Listen,
Trump's
I understand what
immigration
you're.
policy.
Hold on, you're not hearing me. I'm saying
Oh, he
when you
is.
ask the broad general question, yeah, you'll get a pretty evenly divided public. But when you start to ask people about the specific tactics, about who is being targeted, then you start to see variation in the polling. And I think we have to understand that because, yeah, you can ask the broad question, but when you ask people, do you want them to deport this woman who's been cleaning your house? A lot of people are going to say no.
I understand that. And by the way, I would not say it's evenly divided. It was like 51% and 32%.
Exactly.
It's not even. But another point, one of the great miscarriages, and look, I am happy to investigate each case that we say is mishandled. Because every time I look at a case, there tends to be more information that comes out. So I always try to just be a little cautious. But here's the bigger miscarriage of justice I see in the press's coverage of this. I was reading ICE's website and reading some of the rap sheets of the people who've been deported in my home state, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. I was horrified that Maura Healey did not deport them earlier. I don't know why it wasn't
Maura
front
Healey
page
doesn't
news.
have the power
She
to
didn't
deport
let ICE go.
anybody.
She didn't let ICE go
Okay,
into
hold
the
on.
courthouses.
Maura Healey does not have the power to deport
She does
anybody.
not. She has the
A,
ability.
over to ICE to
and
get them
B,
deported.
and B,
Lawrence is a
and
sanctuary
hold on a
city.
second.
They were
Hold on a
housing
second.
them.
I understand what you're saying. Everyone, virtually. I mean, the polling is really
Clear, yeah.
overwhelming.
Yes.
That when you say, do you want to deport criminals, rapists, murderers, any of those people, any people
Yes.
committing violent crimes, drug dealers, Americans say yes, deport them. However, when you take those examples and you extrapolate from those examples that the rest of the immigrant community is characterized by those people, that is when you start to get problems with a lot of other people in this country, TW. I mean, don't you understand that for every person who commits a murder, it doesn't mean that somebody who did not commit a murder is just as guilty.
I never accused them of that. We're all descendants of people who came here, either voluntarily or involuntarily, and I think it's a beautiful thing. I don't want to say every immigrant person from Latin or Central America, Central South America is a murderer. Not at all. But what I want to do is put the impetus on the politicians who ran sanctuary cities and states who stopped ICE from doing its job. That, I think, is just as big of a story.
I think it
as
is also.
miscarriages of justice.
Last thing I'll say before I let you get in. I don't think that there is any evidence at all that the idea that there are sanctuary cities which existed under Trump 1, Biden, Obama, George W. Bush, sanctuary cities have been around for a long time, and ICE has been able to do their jobs. Obama deported a lot of people when sanctuary cities existed. So where is the evidence that impeded his ability to
ICE
deport?
detainers. It's not. I mean.
And I actually think that dude is one of the more decent Republican pundits. But I just want to say something. I'm sick of hearing this come the legal way, or hey, they came here illegally, they committed a crime, when they know damn well the path to legality is for those with a certain level of wealth, and this just isn't spoken about almost at all. If you're from China, Europe, you have a child, you can send them to college to the US. They have a chance to get selected through a lottery system to be able to have citizenship. They could even get married to an American. Like, that's just one example of a system that's made, honestly, for more wealthier people. What systems do we have for poor people that don't have a penny to their name? Those escaping unimaginable living conditions and terror that are obviously, I mean, we see it here, willing to put their life on the line to get out of there. Who amongst us, if we were living in El Salvador, poor as shit, dangerous as all hell, you wouldn't do all you can to come to the richest nation in the world? Especially if you have kids? Like, have some sympathy and empathy is all. We get it. You can't just let everyone in with no regards. But we can try to create a program in which they benefit and we benefit and they get a citizenship down the line. You don't have to have people running around looking over their shoulders. Instead of treating them like they're some wild animal that you need to round up by whatever means necessary. Like, seriously, as advanced as we are, we can't figure this out in a more humane way, a more logical way.
I just want to say, part of the problem I think the Republican Party has now is that you believe that there's all these violent people, and there are violent people who need to be deported. The thing is, their numbers are not that large. So when you say you're going to do mass deportation because of violent people, if the rest of the country had the crime rate of the immigrants, we'd be a very safe country. The immigrants community is actually pretty low crime. And so now you have this mixed problem of saying we're going to do mass deportation of violent people. So inevitably you wind up deporting a lot of people who shouldn't.
I think the problem is that people were told that we were going to focus on deporting criminals, and the reality was that many people try to say is like, they think everybody is a criminal and that they don't care how they treat immigrants. The humanity of people is being erased every day in these streets. And if you can sleep at night, then go for it. But I think whether you break the law or not, my faith, my belief is that you still treat people with decency and humanity. And that is not.
Part of that is respecting other people's laws. I agree with you. I respect the laws in Mexico when I go to Mexico.
But even when,
I respect the laws in Paris
even when somebody doesn't,
I respect the laws in England.
Even when somebody doesn't respect the laws, I still respect their humanity.
To Israel later this year.
I know
and
for
that's
sure.
the problem is there are people that don't respect the laws.
See, I know you. I know you very well, and I know for sure. If you knew the people that we're talking about, you would be standing with us.
Texas,
You'd be standing with us.
Do you know them?
Yes, and I go back to I've had conversations.
Okay
One of my best friends married an illegal immigrant. We had this conversation at dinner, and I said to her, I am sorry that you decided to break the law. There are a lot of Americans that break laws, and they go to jail, and there's a consequence for your actions.
So nannies in the park with babies. So nannies in the park with babies.
We have a grand conversation, and you have one-sided where you say your side's the only side that's right, and my side's right. You said you'd kick me out if I had the conversation.
Hold on, Ben. So you said that you have a friend whose wife is
he married an illegal immigrant. They have children that are in this country.
And you said to that person,
I had them on my show.
Okay, I know. I'm just making sure we understand. I think it's a very interesting anecdote.
It's an important conversation.
You said to her, you need to be deported?
I said the same thing that my dad said to me if I ever got arrested. Don't expect me to bail you out. You're accountable for your actions.
So what did you say
And
to
what
her?
I said to her was this. I think you're an incredible human being. I love that you have this love with your family, your friends. It doesn't erase your kindness or your love, the fact that you broke the law.
Did you call ice on her?
I'm not going to call ice on her.
Got him.
Let me finish. I'm going to tell you exactly why. It's a great question. Because they were working through the process with lawyers while this was happening.
But you know what?
A lot of people are doing that.
This is what we're saying. And if she goes to a hearing, she could be deported right now.
If you have someone on your show who's an illegal immigrant and you have them on when you're having the conversation, everybody knows this is taking place. That's number one. Number two, they'd already had an interaction with law. They were already going through the process.
Wait, hold on. But Brent,
this is not hard.
I'm glad we're on this because.
God, like this is why MAGA and Republicans are seen as creeps. You couldn't even tell your friend's wife a lie. You couldn't even just change the subject. You have to tell them your vile ideology. You're such a piece of garbage. This is why people think Republicans are weird. This is why Republican men are seen as very undateable to women. You guys are effing creepy and weird with your ideologies. Like, and she got him so good. Look how quickly his tone changed and his eyes started darting around. If you need a rewind, he knows he got caught. This is MAGA right here. Low intelligence, high confidence. Let's finish this up.
We were just discussing that exact scenario. Many of these people, this is DHS policy now. They're in a courtroom because they are undocumented right now, but they're going through a legal process to normalize their status. And what DHS is doing to those people, and might do to your friend's wife, is say, actually, you know what we're going to do? We're just going to toss this case, and when you walk out of the store, we're going to put you in an ICE detention facility.
That is happening.
So that is the scenario that we're talking about. That's what we're talking about.
Run on that.
I go back to the point that I made earlier. We are either a nation of laws or we're not. And you don't get to pick and choose based on the scenario.
All right, we do have to. We really have to go. I'm getting the hook. I'm sorry, guys. Everyone, thank you very much. Coming up next,
That's just amazing. Due process for your friend's wife, but not for those brown ones, right? I would have loved to ask if I was on that panel. Hey, Dumbo, what skin color was she? Because I think we all see what really is going on here, what this is really all about. Right, Republicans, conservatives? We all know what this is about. I'll leave it there, guys. Let me know what you think about all this in the comments. Please leave a like, subscribe. Really helps push the message out there. Really helps the channel. And I'll catch you in the next.